The most life-changing hormone balancing tip I ever learned had nothing to do with food or supplements. For 10 years, I struggled with acne, PCOS, and by the time I was turning 30, also stubborn belly fat. The frustrating part, I was eating healthy, working out, and doing everything seemingly right. But when I discovered the real reason why my cortisol was staying high and I fixed that, my hormones finally balanced, I lost belly fat, and PCOS was gone. And in the next few minutes, I will share with you what kept me stuck for years and how you can fix that too. So here is what most women don't realize. If your cortisol stays high, your hormones simply cannot be in balance. Your skin won't clear and your body literally will refuse to burn excess body fat. And the worst part here is that most doctors or blood tests won't even catch it. Think of it like your body is a computer with a limited processing power. When you have too many tabs open, everything will slow down, system will crash, and your screen will stop responding. And that's exactly what high cortisol does to your hormones. It drains you without you even realizing it. And when the limit is reached, that's when your body stops responding to healthy eating, supplements, and that's also when health issues start to show up. And now you might be wondering, what are those steps actually for you? Let me show you, because for years I was looking at all the wrong ones, and everything I was doing, I thought I'm closing my tabs, but actually I kept them open, and that also kept me stuck. So since I was 16, my acne was pretty much terrible. I couldn't leave the house without makeup. I didn't want to. I hated dates, the gym, even the trips where I couldn't wear the makeup 24/7. I tried every cream, gel, beauty treatment, supplements, nothing really worked. But the first time my acne actually improved was when I traveled to Sri Lanka. And that was really strange what happened. Not only my skin stopped breaking out, but also for the first time in my life, I didn't have painful period. Anyway, I thought maybe it's just holidays, me being more relaxed. But later, I realized it was something much deeper. I was unconsciously grounding my body and spending hours in the ocean. And grounding in salty water is natural anti-inflammatory and one of the most powerful. So it was helping me calming down the symptoms, but it was still not solving the real root cause. And when I went back to London, the skin flare-ups and painful periods returned. On the top of that, I started feeling bloated out of nowhere really, and I was gaining more and more belly fat. That time, I was already studying naturopathic nutrition, so I cut out dairy, went gluten-free, balanced my insulin, and my skin improved a little bit. But the flare-ups kept coming back. And despite eating clean and exercising, the fat around my belly just wouldn't shift. And honestly, I was close to giving up and accepting that I would hit my 30s with acne, PCOS, and body that was not responding despite all my efforts. At some point, I was even suspected silly foods like olives or blueberries were triggering my acne and later also bloating. I also did a food intolerance and gut microbiome test, but the truth, it was not the food really. My naturopath once told me you need to work on your nervous system, but I was like, nah. How is that even related to my hormone issues? I didn't feel stressed, I was just busy, and that kind of like I thought that's the way I am. So I completely ignored that. But then I noticed a pattern. My skin always was getting worse when I visited my parents, for example. They joked about that, I was allergic to them. But really, my nervous system interpreted that extra care as a threat to my identity or independence. In relationships, for example, the moment I didn't feel fully accepted, skin was flaring up. Even cold weather was triggering my body and my skin. And what added fuel to the fire was intense exercise. I loved to push myself at the gym to the limits, but it was not really helping with my hormones or losing that belly fat. So I finally did the Dutch test, advanced hormone test, and what it revealed completely shocked me. It turned out my cortisol was through the roof and the standard blood test never caught it. Why? Because standard blood test only measures cortisol at one point in time. Dutch tests show the full daily pattern, and on the top of that, the total cortisol output production over 24 hours. And as I mentioned, the funny thing was that I didn't feel stressed at all, but my body clearly was living in that constant fight or flight, pumping out cortisol. And when cortisol stays high, it's literally impossible to balance your hormones, and it's also very hard to lose belly fat. It's honestly like living on overdraft bank account. You keep depositing your money, which means eating healthy, taking supplements, exercising, but cortisol steals from your balance. What it does specifically, it steals your progesterone, which is your feel-good, calming hormone. That can leave you bloated, moody, with excess belly fat, because when progesterone drops, estrogen becomes dominant. But that's not everything. At the same time, cortisol slows down your thyroid, which slows your metabolism. And no matter how little you eat, your body will be resistant to burning that excess body fat. So here is the thing. It was never really about food or inappropriate supplements. The real reason my cortisol was staying high was something I would be ignoring for the whole time. It was my dysregulated nervous system constantly signaling danger, not the physical danger, obviously. That was keeping cortisol high all the time, draining my body from all the nutrients, and when the damage is high, even supplements cannot make up for it. That's why sometimes you might take supplements, eating healthy, but you don't see much of the change. And here is what most women don't realize. High cortisol isn't just about obvious stress like work overload or fight with your partner. Often the most problematic are those hidden small stressors that you even don't realize, but they are keeping your nervous system on duty 24/7. Overexercising, one of the common ones, especially when that intense exercise is just like another stressor in your life. Then poor sleep as well, or not unwinding properly before bed. Your brain never get a chance to really unwind, calm down, get into deep restorative sleep. And emotional stress, old wounds, unprocessed emotions, or even tiny daily triggers. You may feel you get irritated easily, but in truth, it's just dysregulated nervous system. For me, for example, one of the hidden triggers was asking for help. On the outside, I looked independent and confident, but deep down, my nervous system linked asking for help with weakness, not being enough. But that's not everything. Another big one is lack of acceptance. When we fight the reality, every time your mind goes, I don't want this, or I have to do this, it creates resistance that your body reads as danger. But here is where the magic happens. When you can shift your mindset into, for example, this challenge will help me with X, or this is guiding me towards Y. Suddenly, your nervous system relaxes, and that shift alone can lower cortisol massively. In fact, this whole process of uncovering those hidden stressors and retraining your nervous system is exactly what I teach inside my Superwoman formula. It's built on the cortisol blueprint, which is like step-by-step system to finally balance your cortisol from nutrition and workouts to emotional stressors and nervous system regulation. It's based on the same approach I use with my one-on-one clients, but way more affordable. Right now, you can actually join the first group at a very reduced rate. So if that resonates with you, just click the link in the description to secure your spot, and maybe I will see you on the other side. So back to high cortisol. There are also, of course, physical stressors like poor gut health or bad diet. But here is the truth. Often, it's that dysregulated nervous system and those emotional stressors in the first place that weaken digestion, inflame your gut, and make your body overreact to foods or small things. When I lived in Spain, for example, I was mind blown that people ate bread, cheese, drank wine, all the sugary pastries, yet statistically, of course I checked that, they are one of the healthiest nations. My theory here is they are pretty much just more relaxed, and when your body is relaxed, it can handle a lot more. But if you're tensed and stressed according to your nervous system, then even perfect diet will not save you. So if you're still struggling with hormone imbalances, PCOS, stubborn belly fat, skin issues, slow metabolism, despite eating well and doing all the right things, you really want to ask yourself, how many tabs do I have open right now, and which of those tabs are draining the most energy and keeping my cortisol high? At first, I know it's hard, nothing obvious may come to your mind. But if you just ignore it, nothing will change. That's why it's so important to commit to that process literally like every day. And with time, you will start to see more clearly what's activating your fight or flight. And when you look back, like I do now, like back 10 years ago, I was like, wow, how I did not see that time. And honestly, regulating my nervous system and working on those emotional stressors was one of my biggest breakthroughs. When I retrained my nervous system to feel safe, everything shifted. My hormones balanced, my PCOS resolved, my skin started to clear up, and even the stubborn belly fat finally came off. At the moment, I'm actually eating more when I compare to 5-10 years ago. And the good thing about committing to that process is that now, whenever I go through more stressful period or I'm just simply more busy, I can spot the signs instantly. Even small things like why I'm actually craving more carbs or like why I want more food if I ate already a lot. Those are signs you need to work on your stress. And obviously we cannot remove all the stressors from our life, but if you know how to bring your body back to balance, that's what matters. And if you want to learn more what I did exactly to regulate my nervous system and lower that cortisol, watch this video next.